Welcome again to Joe Stunner Boxing. None of us are strangers to controversy in boxing. It comes with the territory, doesn't it? There's always a bad decision and, something happens, some referee or judge makes a mistake or, you know what I mean? But there were two, I think, very controversial incidents over the weekend that bear mentioning. I'll deal with them one at a time. The first one concerned the fight between O'Shaquie Foster, who was the WBC super featherweight champ, and Robson Conceicao, who was the challenger. And Foster, has become a pretty established champion, I suppose you'd say. He made a number of defences of his title. He beat Ray Vargas. There was that fantastic fight with Eduardo Hernandez where I think the 11th round of that was probably round of the year. That was last year. And he beat Abraham Nova that was a split decision, but it was a win. I thought he won that quite easily, but Nova, I think Nova was over in the final round, but it was a split decision. It should have been unanimous. But that pales compared to what happened against Robson Conceicao, because O'Shaquie Foster lost a split decision to Conceicao. It was two cards at it. Hang on, let me get this right. One card at it, 115, 113 to Conceicao. One at it, 116, 112 to Foster, and one at it, 116, 112 to Conceicao. So it was a split decision. Look, I've no idea how anyone can think that this was a victory for Conceicao. I didn't do a review of the fight because it was so boring. And it was tedious fight. And halfway through, I just thought, I can't be bothered to keep scoring this. I'm not going to do a review. I wish I had done now, because then I could have totted up my scorecard. But it was obvious. I watched it back today, and it was obvious that even allowing for swing rounds, Foster won this fight. It was a very strange decision, And the stunned, tearful expression of Foster afterwards when he was being interviewed, he just couldn't. It's like, when you get someone and they're told some information and they genuinely look like they can't believe it. It was that sort of reaction. The commentators had it 119, 109, I think, which you can argue that's too wide, but not by much. I mean, I think I had it 117, 111 or something like that, but when I watched it again today, But I don't like scoring fights when I know the result, if you know what I mean. I like to do it live, and then it's a genuine right or wrong decision. And I've got it wrong a couple of times, because when I've watched fights back, I've said, okay, well, I scored that incorrectly. Why did I give so-and-so that round? Mistakes can get made. But when you've got two people going for a guy who, in my opinion, clearly lost, it's very, very strange. I don't know. It's just... I don't know why anyone would think Conceicao won that fight. And in terms of it being a robbery, I mean, in the sense that it was a miscarriage of justice, no question, in my opinion. But a robbery always implies some sort of skullduggery behind the scenes. I wouldn't go that far. I don't see why anyone would pick Conceicao over Foster, to deliberately give him the fight. I mean, Conceicao is a 3-time Olympian. And he turned pro quite late, and the knock against him has been, well, you stayed too long in the amateurs. He's now got 19 wins with 9 KOs and 2 defeats. Both the defeats are on points, but they're to Shakur Stevenson and Oscar Valdez, both unanimous decisions. And, I mean, the Stevenson fight, he lost that very, very wide, and he was convincingly beaten by Valdez as well. He also got a majority draw against Emmanuel Navarrete. Those were three title fights. So this was his fourth chance to win this title. He's 35 now. And he was very, very emotional afterwards, very, very tearful. And, it's a dream come true. He said, I did this for my daughter and all that. And yeah, it's a nice story when someone, it's like when Frank Bruno won the world title, WBC title against Oliver McCall in his 4th attempt. He was in tears because it's a dream come true. So I don't want to be too bad, not Conceicao, because I don't have nothing against Conceicao, He did his best, but he was basically just following Foster around. Foster was clipping him. He was landing the cleaner punches. He was moving better. I suppose you could say, well, Conceicao, Conceicao was moving forward, but surely it has to be effective pressure. I don't understand this idea that in America, if you're the aggressor, you automatically get points, even though you're not landing anything. And Foster was just too slick, too good. He was punching first usually. He punched last. He used the ring better. Anyway, I think it was a very bad decision in my opinion. And Foster is now 22 wins with 3 defeats, all on points. The defeats. He's 30 now, so he can come back. Maybe a rematch. I think it's the very least he deserves. The very least he deserves, but we will see. We will see. Now, the other controversy was a ridiculously early stoppage. I mean, you won't see a worse early stoppage than this. And this took place between Ricardo Sandoval and Angel Acosta. And Sandoval and Acosta fought a very close contest until the 10th round. It was a 10-rounder. It was for the WBC silver flyweight title. All right, but it was only 10 rounds, not 12. And Sandoval, it was close. It was I don't know what the scorecards were. I was wishing afterwards that they'd have said this was on the undercard, by the way, of the Zepeda Cabrera fight, William Zepeda and Giovanni Cabrera. And I wish they'd given the cards of Sandoval Acosta because I wanted to see what the situation was. It was close. But in the 10th round, Sandoval clipped Acosta and he was slightly buzzed. He was buzzed. He wasn't staggering all over the place, but he was buzzed. And he was in the corner, or near the corner on the ropes. And then he turned Sandoval as Sandoval moved in, and he thought, oh, that's a nice little move. You know, he's used his feet to get out of trouble. He was still a little bit buzzed, but he had a nice high guard. There was one right hand that landed when Acosta was on the ropes. But like I say, he sidestepped, moved out, and repositioned himself, reset himself. And they were up close, and there weren't really any punches being thrown. And the referee stepped in and stopped it in favour of Sandoval. It was the most bizarre thing. And I'm like, did I miss something? You won't see a worse stoppage than this. I mean, I always remember Howard Foster stopping George Groves in the first fight with Froch. I thought that was a terrible stoppage, really awful stoppage. And Ian John Lewis had a couple of real nightmare stoppages as well. He was not a very good referee and an awful judge as well. But this was... do you remember the one with Rolly Romero and the guy who looks like he's about 60? You know the fellow I mean, the one who knocked out Ahara Davison around. That was terrible. That was a terrible, terrible stoppage. But this was worse than that. So I don't know. What do you do about these things? What do you do about bad stoppages? What do you do about terrible scorecards? There is only one thing, and that is to hold the people who are doing these jobs accountable for their decisions. So the commission, the relative commissions, these were on different cards, by the way. One was a top rank card, one was a golden boy card, I think. The commissions should call these people in, sit them down and say, okay, why did you score that fight for Conceicao? And they should go through the fight and say, okay, well, you gave him that round. Why did you give him that round for? What did you give him that round? And they should make a judge, right? They should make a judgment. Okay, we can clearly see that you either had a very bad night, in which case, you know, there's no excuse for that because you've cost this guy his world title. So we're putting you on a probationary period or we're suspending you or doing something and sending you for some retraining and we'll be watching you. Or say, you know, sorry, but you're not going to score any more fights for us for this particular jurisdiction, for this particular authority. We're not having you here anymore. Something has to be done. There has to be some sort of retribution. Okay. In the case of stopping the fight, again, the referee should be called in and spoken to. What'd you stop that fight for? The hell? What were you thinking? You know, explain to us why you were doing it. And again, it's okay. Well, you made a bad mistake. You know, if that's the conclusion of the investigation, and as a result, either you can't referee here anymore, or we're giving you retrain, or you can't referee until you've had your retraining, or there should be something because Acosta now, I think that was his 5th defeat, but he fought very, very well throughout that entire fight. You could say that he was absolutely, you could say he was winning the fight. Sandoval, it's not his fault. He actually said afterwards, I thought it was a bit of a premature stoppage, which means he thought it was a premature stoppage because there's nothing a bit about it. This was a premature stoppage. But at least he was, a little bit gracious in defeat and said, he could have gone on. And plus the fact it was the last round. This was like halfway through the round, so there was only about a minute and a half, a little bit more to go maybe. But unless you hold people accountable for their actions, then what's the point of having rules and regulations? These were 2 miscarriages of justice, and they need to be looked at. And will they? Will they be looked at? Difficult. I mean, we're talking with the Acosta Sandoval fight. We're talking about the. Someone's buzzed me. Sorry, interrupted there. Yes, with the Sandoval Acosta fight, we're talking the we're talking the California State Athletic Commission. The Foster fight was in Newark. So we're talking the New Jersey Athletic State Commission. They should both hold their respective officials to accountability. If they don't, nothing gets rectified, does it? And it's open to happening again. So let me know what you think. Did you see either of these fights, and what are your opinions? Let me know. Please, leave your comments below. Please do. I want to read them. And also, thank you for your time. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Appreciate that a lot. Spread the word about Joe Stunner Boxing. And if you did enjoy the video and you could like it, they count the likes apparently. So much appreciated. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'll speak to you soon, and bye for now.